CASA, the number one chartered accountancy designation in the world. Being a CA means championing change in every sense of the phrase, while meticulously understanding the environments in which we operate. But now, in the modern age, for Mama Africa, CASA could mean much more. In this episode, Lwazi draws to our attention the burgeoning opportunity for positive change we have as the CAs of tomorrow, specifically in Africa, and most importantly, how we can do so for the long haul, sustainably. If you want to be an ethical influencer and would like a glimpse into the CA's story of servitude and our commitment to sustainability, I know you'll love this one. I loved it. I just loved making this episode. So with that, I hope you enjoy. Welcome back, my people. This is The Road to CA. This is where we look back, we look within, and we look beyond, all in the hopes that it will not end, but that it will begin in CASA. Today I'm joined with a man who is on a journey of discovery, a journey like all of us, one of endurance, one of perseverance, but one of exploration and questioning. He's a very inquisitive soul. He's a man with huge dreams. I love people with big dreams because there's so much to actually explore within that. But he also loves endurance sports. He loves to run, I'm sure. He loves to cycle. He one day wants to do an Ironman. I'm joined with Lwazi Shelembe. Lwazi, brother, how are you, man?
I'm doing very well, Mr. Madala. Thank you for inviting me. And I think it's going to be an insightful conversation to just dig into the crux of it.
And insightful because, so I've known Lwazi since first year. He's a third year accounting student who with me now. He's always been mysterious.
You think so?
You've always had a mystery because obviously you're a lot more soft-spoken, a lot more laid back in your just your energy.
Sure.
But in a different way, so in a mysterious way. Not in the way that you're quiet or you're shy. Like there's a confidence about you.
I see.
You know what I'm saying?
Like you can't see the whole story from what I present to you.
Exactly.
I mean, I dress all black.
Yeah, he's in all black right now.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. I sometimes like to say I reserve my thoughts and views to the people I think not deserve them, but would be willing to entertain them with me. So I'm not the loudest guy because I've got my own things I'm thinking about. But I think if you get to know me, I can maybe shock you in terms of what I have to say.
That is powerful, bro. Rather have people underestimate you at all times than for them to think you're better or that you can do more than you can actually do. That's a much more powerful position.
Sure.
You know, the position that you can do a lot more than they think.
But I think it wasn't intentional. It wasn't to say that I want to be underestimated. It's more, I'm going to keep quiet, hold myself a bit back and learn from my peers, which I think normally happens. And I just like to take it in before I get to talking.
Dude, do you know how, because for me, I've come from so with this podcast, I've been learning the skill of listening because you have to really listen to someone in order to have a good conversation. But I used to talk, man. Like I was, like everywhere, I got into public speaking when I was younger. I was in plays and stuff. I was always talking and I thought that was what communication was about.
Yeah.
But man, that's powerful to be able to just observe first.
Sure.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
It's because you're more informed. It's like when you're walking into a paper. Like every time it just doesn't make sense sometimes how I used to approach a paper. I'm sure lots of people in the audience as well. But you'll go through the first 10, 20%, or you'll go through half the reading, and then you'll start so that you can quickly get marks. But then you miss that, there's that thing after that, 50% point that I missed. Like the ability to have all the information and then act.
Yeah. You weren't taking it in. You were moving. And I think that's a powerful skill too, that you've been able to self-regulate yourself and see that, hey, there's another side to all of this.
Yeah, man. Okay, so Lwazi, for people who don't know you, let's rewind. Let's take a trip down memory lane. I know a little bit about it, but where did the journey, the CA journey, where did it begin for you?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's, in a way, it started since I was born.
Yeah.
I was born into a family where there were quite a few CAs around me, and some of them had done very well in their professions.
Yeah.
So I was exposed, as long as I can remember, to this idea that there is this profession called being a CA. It's got the word accountant in it, but there's not a whole lot of accounting in terms of actually doing the job. And from there, I just got to see what one could do with these skills in finance. And I'd say in grade 11, I made the choice that this is what I want to do. And with these skills, I'm going to create my own journey, my own path, my own future. Hopefully one that positively affects not just myself, but the people around me. And from then, I've been in love with this journey.
Sure. I can say from personal experience that I wasn't always in love with the journey. Sometimes you have your ups and your downs. The relationship has its rocky roads.
No, it's a toxic relationship.
Like it's a give. I just give and give.
Yeah, no. I don't think you get much out of it.
Yes.
Yes, until you have those 4 letters at the end of your name.
Your parents or the people in your family, who were those, like, where were those CAs? Because obviously there's like so many different journeys, and that's what like I'm trying to showcase through this show. But what are some of those CA parts that you've seen through the people in your life?
I must be honest.
Yeah.
All the CAs that have positively affected me have all been within the financial services industry, particularly in the corporate finance, private equity, the banking side of things. And I wouldn't say that it's a better area or anything, but it's where I saw that one can affect the most change. And they showed me what can happen if you dig deep and you find something that you truly want to do.
Yeah.
And push forward with it.
Yeah. Dig deep, find something you truly want to do. What has your journey been to finding something that you really want to do?
The journey, I'd say it's been difficult because what I think no one really understands what they're getting into in terms of like studying it and the whole profession until you're here. And I'll be very honest, in my journey, I did stumble a bit in the fact that I did not make the CTA requirements here. And in that moment, I did say I want to dig deep and really understand what it is I want to do. And then finding it, I think you have to really ask yourself, what does your life look like for you? And when you're on your deathbed, knowing that the clock is going to ring eventually, can you look back and say, all right, cool. No, I did that. I'm quite happy with what I've done. And whatever I'm leaving, it's going to persevere, if I can say, or it's going to make a meaningful change to the people that will be left behind.
So, Ish, for everyone at home, like, maybe let's go a little bit away from the deathbeds, but let's look at today. Like, genuinely, I think I can hear you in that questioning is key, especially like when you're not in year test. it's dangerous to question too much in year tests because it's a very fragile time. But, you know, when you're outside of that high pressure moment, I feel like questioning is so key to find out, you know, what value are you going to add?
Sure.
Because if you think about it, the path that you choose, hopefully it's the path that you want, determines what value you're going to bring.
Sure.
We all have value. And that's what I'm learning, like just seeing people. Like, I think we inherently have value, but now going to a profession channels that. When you become an engineer, we all have inherent value, but now you need to channel it through something. You learn how to invent things. You learn how to, you know, construct cars with your creative inventor's mind.
Sure. Solve some problems along the way too.
Solve some problems along the way, you know. But if you don't question, you're not going to find out what yours is, what your problem is.
Sure.
You know?
Do you mean more in terms of like a personal problem or the problem that you're going to go out there and solve?
I believe there's many problems. So I don't really think about personal and professional per se. I think there's a personal and there's a professional, but they're very linked. Your personal problems will always affect your professional problems.
Sure.
People think that their professional problems won't affect their personal, and people think there's silo thinking in this realm. But really, if you want to free your family from poverty, that will affect what you do out there as a practicing accountant.
True.
You know?
True.
Do you think you found the problem that you want to solve, or a problem that you want to solve?
I think the problem I find most important to me, forget my personal problems. I think the problem I resonate with is the problem of what are we going to do about Africa?
Yeah, the Africa problem, huh?
Yeah. And how can I genuinely believe that Africa, not just South Africa, Africa as a continent, we are in a position where we have the most to do with some of the biggest challenges, but we have the best possible story. Now, I link that back to what I said earlier about, can you look back on your life and say, this was cool? I think the Africa problem is, can we bring as many people as feasibly possible out of poverty, out of these terrible positions, and move them beyond just being okay, but can we become a thriving continent?
Yeah.
Can we be in those conversations when they look to the world for whatever problems they might be, economic, climate, health related, can we say we've made meaningful contributions to say that Africa should be in that conversation? And I think that's where my professional and personal problems are pushing me to try and make a contribution to.
Can you? It's tough, but or it's not a problem if you haven't yet. Can you trace how the CA is going to contribute to that?
I think at its core, I believe we should use our financial skills to better operating environments. There are things that are taken for granted here that we can do. So if I can make an example, if you're a CA and you have maybe some excellent capital budgeting skills, maybe you could use that skill to not analyze maybe an acquisition or expansion, but maybe an investment into a country, building a new port, building a new school.
Getting into project finance there.
Everything.
Yeah.
Can we use those skills as well to possibly improve that process, make it more efficient, make it more cost effective, if you're looking at the costing side? Then we have a particular skill being that we can report. And we do that in IFRS, and it's not that cool in doing IFRS 16.
Yeah.
But I think it's still a skill to be able to communicate rather thoroughly what's happening. So maybe we could communicate that to the world. There's hundreds of ways.
There's lots.
A CA could contribute to developing Africa. But I think maybe the one that we might have the most success in doing is founding and leading prominent and sustainable businesses that focus, yes, on profit, but also on the people. And I think the sky's the limit in that sense.
Yeah, see, they can be business leaders, man.
Sure.
You're poised from learning about these things like capital budgeting, learning about your strategy. We actually go quite hard on strategy.
Sure.
Like, we learn about some complex things. CTA gets hectic when you're learning about derivatives and markets. You learn a lot more about markets, financial markets. But we're so equipped to be able to lead in business. I'm reading a book now, Masters of Money. It's this book by the CA. He's a author and he interviews CFOs and various business leaders in South Africa. And he gets these lessons from all of them. So this book, Masters of Money, is of JSE listed CFOs.
Okay.
Right? Generally JSE listed CFOs, but just big business in South Africa. Every single CFO is a CASA.
Sure.
There's not a single one that's any other profession.
Sure.
So if like you want to get CFO, step one,
you need a CA who's going to lead you through those financial bets.
Tough times. I'm reading about how some people went through COVID, like the old mutual CFO, Casper Trusky. He was able to raise 2 billion in funding through through raising, I think, bonds.
Sure.
During COVID, like it's these skills that we are able to acquire in this journey to become a CA, dude.
Yeah, and I'm sure his contribution in using his skills to raise that funding led to further developments. Jobs are retained.
Oh, sure.
Businesses is growing and so on and so on. So I don't think we don't have to figure out how to end world hunger.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we can definitely make a positive contribution to what could be Africa's Titans.
There was this lady, forgetting her name. I think her name was Lwazi Shelembe. So she is, I think currently, she's worked for the World Economic Forum, I think.
Okay.
She's been a vice president or president for a division there, for the IMF, I think, even. But basically, she's a world leader. Like, she's a leading woman in finance and global finance. She's been Minister of Finance of Nigeria, that's for sure. She took Nigeria through its like golden age in the early 2000s. And she mentioned how powerful it is to rather, you can think about ending world hunger, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you can think about charity, right? You can think about all these things. But imagine the power of giving livelihoods.
Sure.
Not life, not giving charity, giving money so that people can eat, which is important. Yes, there's always room for it. But not just charity, which Africa has been getting lots of.
Yeah. Livelihoods.
The ability to give livelihood.
Similar to that, is it an idiom? Proverb? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I do numbers, not English. But teach a man how to fish. No, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man how to fish, you feed him for life. And I think, there's definitely some wisdom in saying that giving people livelihoods is probably a lot more effective than giving us a food parcel.
You see, and that's our burden as the finance people,
Sure.
business people. I'd say business people's direct concern is giving livelihood.
Sure.
I think that's a huge imperative. Yeah, there's on the business end, or rather on the front end, there's the product. There's the ostensible problem that we are going to solve for money.
Sure.
But man, there's so many other issues embedded in all of this organization. There's jobs. There's, equitable employment and ensuring that people are treated well. There's your environmental responsibility. Like all these things, all these kingy things that are in the sky, they're real. They're real. And that's what we can become. Stewards of these things.
Sure.
Stewards of environmental, of people, of, just, I'd say human performance. That's, in my mind, human performance is not just becoming the fastest runner.
Sure.
But becoming the fastest runner who inspires other people to go and run themselves.
Sure. Does that link to your idea? Let me ask you this. What do you think sustainable business means? And would you include everything you've just said into that?
It's a very good question. It's very layered. So I haven't thought about it enough. But if you think about it through the kind of three-pronged approach that we do in accounting,
sure,
in King, you've got your social,
okay,
you've got your environmental, and you've got your governance, pretty much. Those are the three things that must be in place in order for the economics to be sustainable.
Sure.
So that means socially, it means that you're pushing purpose that is centered around people as well. Because I think every business on some level can have people at its center.
Yeah. And I just want to add on to it and say, I think our role would probably be to say, I do believe that our generation will be the founders, the next founders of the African Titans. And we definitely need to think about that. Can we prioritize profits and still be sustainable for the long run? And I don't think it's going to work out like that. Maybe we should think a lot more about developing an environment that makes it sustainable for everyone. Because I recently, I think it was on the news, but they spoke about how difficult it is to operate in South Africa. So that's South Africa, the most developed economy in Africa.
The most.
Yeah. You see, so now, can you imagine what's happening in Kenya or Nigeria, Algeria, Malawi? And we need to think about, okay, cool, we can do the numbers, but let's also build some sustainable organizations beyond that.
What is sustainability to you? What would you define it as?
Sustainable to me is, if we take a long-term view of an organization, it's able to operate in a manner that, in every way, I want to say, provides good for people. As in, the environment is being positively affected. Shareholders, employees, every stakeholder can look to that organization and say, we'd rather have them than not. And then, to me, that satisfies the criteria to say this is a sustainable organization. And we can grow it. We don't have to predict the future and say it's going to outlast whatever, but it should be able to adapt and continue to provide positive value to everyone.
Principle 16 of the King Code, King 4. If you're a second year, you in it. If you're first year, I don't actually know the new curriculum, but
they're going to see it regardless.
They're going to see it. That's adopting the stakeholder inclusive approach.
Sure.
Principle 16. Like, if we could actually internalize a lot of what we learn,
it's quite powerful.
It can be powerful.
Yeah.
It really can.
But I think when it's taught to you in an auditing class at 3 o'clock on a Thursday,
and you want to just go home,
it's not hitting the thing.
Yeah. And you didn't do your pre-reading. and you failed the last test, or you just wrote the test and you got your mark and you're down like this.
The workload's moving at a pace where you can't even think about it.
The workload.
Yeah.
Oof.
But when you internalize it, it's definitely there's some powerful messages in some of the things we do.
If we mud on them.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
If you could go back, first year Lwazi, maybe even high school Lwazi.
Sure.
What would you tell him?
I would tell him to switch on.
Mm-hmm.
I think my life, I say this to my friends, I used to live like a cartoon character. Like, I just did whatever. I'd wake up 5 minutes before the online lecture, do that. I was in the club every Thursday, or let me say Friday.
Yeah.
But I'd say switch on to the reality that this is a moment that is more important than you probably realize. And you should take every lesson. Do everything you can to just, I don't know, make your future better. Doesn't mean getting high marks, but maybe internalizing the things you're learning in school. Networking with people. I do reminisce on all of that and just get serious about what you want to become. Because I was a cartoon character.
I think I was the same.
Yeah.
I was drifting, just wake up, lecture, leave. Maybe I'll study, maybe. Yeah.
But I think I don't regret it though.
Yeah.
It was a life experience.
You can only say that in hindsight.
Yeah.
You can only say that in hindsight.
But I wouldn't say I wouldn't have done all those things, but I would have said I probably should have focused a bit more on the important things. Beyond school, family, friends, just life in general.
Guys, if you're out there, switch on if you want. It's up to you. Switch on. That's what Lwazi's saying, and I can attest. I think switching on means that you're way more likely to achieve the dreams that you undoubtedly have. You have dreams, and those dreams will come if you switch on, I think.
100%.
So, guys, please, if you have not already, follow this. Share this with other aspiring CAs. Please, guys, we need to do this together. It's not a one-man show. It's a together show. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 50,000 members in Saika. It's all of our show. And I want you guys to have a lovely week filled with more growth, more learning, more internalizing all these things that come past us like Principle 16, and take a moment and think about it. Think about whether you're on the journey or you are being taken, swaying in the wind like I was, and that Lwazi might have been in that first.
No, definitely.
Think about that, man. Think about that. I hope that it does not end, but that it begins. CASA. Thank you, Lwazi, man.
Thank you very much, Mr. Madala.